Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom, to Chiefs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Thursday. I think we're starting to die down from all the excitement of the Trey Smith contract extension. He became the highest paid interior lineman in NFL history. Round of applause for him. But the Chiefs may be looking at another blockbuster contract extension here very soon. We're about to dive into it, but before we do, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those notifications because we have daily videos. That's right, daily videos Monday through Friday here at Cheifs Latest. You're not going to want to miss any of the action, so hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, as it's not only going to help me and the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I mentioned the Chiefs are coming off a major contract extension for Trey Smith, 4 years, $94 million deal. But now I think they're setting their eyes on another blockbuster contract extension, and Nate Taylor says so as well. He says all eyes are on cornerback Trent McDuffie. Now, the NFL's cornerback market is on fire. We also saw that on Tuesday as Sauce Gardner. He just snagged a 4-year, $120.4 million deal with the Jets. That's making him the highest paid corner at $30.1 million per year. You also have Derek Stingley, $90 million total. He gets paid $30 million per year. And J.C. Horn, who gets $100 million total, he gets paid $25 million per year. So this reset the bar this offseason, those three players have. Now McDuffie, he was a first-round pick back in 2022. He's earned his seat at the table. He's proved that he's a lockdown corner and that he's a lockdown cornerstone for Steve Spagnuolo's defense. Now, of course, he has 2 years left on his rookie deal and no free agency until 2027. So the Chiefs could wait. They could. But every day that you do and every day that you let this slip by, the price will climb. I mean, look at last September. He had Patrick Surtain have a $96 million deal. That was top of the market. Now he's fifth among cornerbacks. So the market changes very, very quickly. Now, why does this matter? Well, he is that defensive anchor for your team. Elite coverage, 80.6 PFF grade. That was ninth among 220 cornerbacks. And he had an 83.1 overall PFF grade. That was third among all cornerbacks. You have the cap pressure, $20.6 million in 2025 cap space. Locking in McDuffie now, that could save you millions. That's right, millions of dollars, especially after they front-loaded Trey Smith's deal. You want to save as much money as you can for the future. And speaking of Smith, you're pairing him with Smith. Humphrey got a deal last year. You're making sure that Mahomes' offense stays up, and you're making sure that Spags' defense stays elite. And George Karlaftis also has an extension very, very soon. So you're keeping all your core key players here. Now, looking at his career, 183 total tackles, 14 quarterback hits, 7 forced fumbles, 27 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. His versatility, slot and outside, that's going to help mentor the young corners that you have on your roster right now. You can maybe look at a 4-year, $112 million extension, $28 million per year, $80 million guaranteed. I think he could take that. And that's going to fit under this year's $260.4 million cap. Again, that's also going to free space for Karlaftis before all this hits start to pile up. So McDuffie's first team, his all-pro pedigree, 183 tackles. It screams a payday. He deserves a payday. But Beach must act fast because his corner market, it's going to keep going and going. You don't want it to, skyrocket past 30 million. Then you're in a real big hole. So let's try to get this done as fast as we can. Well, speaking of all these offseason moves, some people still aren't impressed. That's right. The Chiefs received a B- according to ESPN's Seth Walder. I think that's a little harsh. I'm not agreeing with a B- here. Now, he did see the logic of trading Joe Tooney, but he really slammed the risky signing of tackle Jaylen Moore. Now, trading Tooney, a 2-time All-Pro, to the Bears for a 4th-round pick, yes, it's tough, but it was necessary. It was a necessary cap move. His $16 million 2025 hit and age, he was 32 years old. Obviously, you needed to focus on Smith and getting that long-term play figured out because that is the smarter play here. Now, Walter's least favorite move, signing Jaylen Moore to a 2-year, $30 million deal, $15 million per year, $21 million guaranteed. I agree. I think this was a super risky move. Moore has an 83% career pass block win rate and 81% in 2024. That was near bottom among tackles. I think this was almost a panic move for the Chiefs, especially after someone like Ronnie Stanley signed elsewhere. So, yes, I think this grade is a little harsh, especially because Beach was able to keep his young stars like Smith, like Bolton, and was able to draft someone like Josh Simmons who can make an impact right away. But yes, left tackle remains a glaring question mark for Mahomes' blind side. I get all that. But trading Tooney once again freed $16 million. That helped land Smith's $94 million deal, which is the better play long term. But Moore signing could risk Mahomes' protection because he's never seems to play. And I totally get that. I think we did probably overpay that just a little bit. Chiefs were ranked 17th in pass protection, 39 sacks allowed in 2024. That exposed the tackle woes. Moore does have an unproven status to a degree. This doesn't really inspire confidence. You can't have a shaky line, can't have a shaky left tackle. It's going to hurt your run game. It's going to throw off your balance attack. And you're going to face pass rushers like Max Crosby. Joe Tooney did have that 96.4% pass block rate, which was tied for first among guards. But again, you had to trade him for that 4th round pick. You had to. So Josh Simmons, Moore, they'll compete for left tackle. Tooney's departure leaves Mike Caliendo or Kingsley Sumontia to fill left guard. So I understand maybe not being super impressed with the line, but to give a B- overall, that stings. That stings. I'm not going with that. I think Brett Beach did everything correctly that he needed to. And yes, Moore's signing does feel like a roll of the dice, but it had to be done. You had to do this. So these reps for the line in training camp are going to be very, very important. Now, speaking of training camp, is Carson Steel on the chopping block as we head into training camp? I think he is. A lot of people are. I mean, the Chiefs will face a brutal roster decisions here as they try to finalize their 53-man roster. The running back room, along with the wide receiver room, it's a bloodbath, especially after a dismal 2024 ground game for this running back room. They finished 22nd in rushing yards, 29th in yards per carry at just 4. Of course, Isaiah Pacheco's week 2 fibulated fracture, that sidelined him until week 13. That dropped his yards per carry from 4.6 in 2023 to a week 3.7 in 2024 games. Kareem Hunt's 3.6 average, that never really ignited this run game either. So that means fan favorite Carson Steel, an undrafted 2024 rookie, he stole hearts during training camp last season. He captured 183 yards on 56 carries. That was 3.3 yards per carry. He was more of a, short yardage hammer. That's where he got his shine and fame. But his roster spot is shaky now with Pacheco and Hunt healthy. And then you have Elijah Mitchell and rookie Brashard Smith in the mix. Smith is a 7th round converted wideout. He brings a 4.39 40-yard dash, 3rd down versatility. That could edge out Steele's redundant power style that we're going to see in this backfield already, unless Andy Reid uses him as a Swiss Army knife. Steele could play fullback, can be a returner, and can be a goal line back. But with only 3 running back spots likely, Steele's, again, overlap with Pacheco and Hunt. That makes him expandable, unless, again, he shines in camp. Pacheco, 3.7 yards per carry in 7 games, 4.6 in 2023. Kareem Hunt never got things going. Carson Steel really never got things going, but Brashard Smith could. He had 1,332 yards, 5.7 yards per carry at SMU last season. So it's going to be a backfield battle. Pacheco and Hunt are locks. I think it's going to now be probably Steel and Smith to fight for that running back 3 spot. But Smith's 39 college receptions, his speed, I think that gives him a little bit of an edge. But yes, Steele has that 225-pound frame that could grab a spot if he excels on special teams or as a fullback, especially with Kelsey's roles shrinking. So, again, Steele, he stole the hearts. His hustle won over, Chiefs Kingdom, but nothing is exciting about him. Chiefs are trying to save as much money as they can, especially with the Trent McDuffie extension. Karlaftis needing an extension. I think that puts him on the bubble as camp looms. So he just needs a big training camp. And then I just think with Smith's dynamic skill set in the mix, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. But one thing that I think we could be fine with here is the cornerback room because it's going to be a tough cut. And that's a good thing that it's going to be a tough cut to make the 53-man roster. And it's going to be a tough cut because of our addition of Christian Fulton. $20 million signing back in March. It, of course, was aimed to fix what we saw last season in that cornerback depth woes. It tanked their passing defense. The Chiefs were 18th after being 4th in 2023. Trent McDuffie, Jaylen Watson, elite tandem, but Watson's week 7 fibula fracture forced Najee Johnson, who ended up with a 51.2 PFF coverage grade, and Joshua Williams, who ended up with 68.3. They were forced into bigger roles where they honestly struggled. Now, Fulton, being a former Charger, posted a 71.1 PFF grade. That was 40th among 220 cornerbacks. And he had a stellar 79.3 run defense grade. He's a legit cornerback 3. And he's an upgrade over what we had at Johnson and Williams. So McDuffie, Watson, Fulton. The Chiefs now have a trio that I don't know if it's necessarily better, but it could rival back in 2023 when they had Snead, McDuffie, and Watson. But Fulton also has an injury history with the Titans, which is a red flag. But again, the run defense need here that he brings, 79.3 grade, helps against, running backs you're going to face this year. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Jamar Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor. You're going to face some good backs. 2-year, $20 million deal, $15 million guaranteed. I think that's honestly a good deal. I think that's a great deal. And he played in 15 games in 2024. So maybe that injury history could be way back in the rearview mirror. 2024 defense, 9th in total defense, 18th in passing defense versus 2nd and 4th back in 2023. Again, Najee Johnson, 51.2 coverage grade. That was 171 out of 222. Joshua Williams, 68.3 coverage grade. Not much better, and both had 0 postseason snaps. What does that say about how this coaching staff views them? They don't trust them. So McDuffie, Watson, Fulton, locks. So you have Johnson, Williams, even rookie Noel Williams fighting for that 4 or 5 spots. So 15 games last season for Fulton. That's promising. But again, if he does get hurt, you need someone to step up. So I think the signing gives Spags a trio to dominate the AFC West passing games. But it's going to be tough because there are some people that you could maybe bank on or try to get better. But again, you can only have so many people on your roster. So as camp starts, I think Fulton's run defense, it's going to be a game changer. Well, that was Thursday's episode here at Cheifs Latest. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. I always read the comments, always enjoy what you guys have to say. Do you think that Trent McDuffie will get that next extension? Let me know what you think there. What would you give the Chiefs offseason grade so far? Like I said, I think a B- was a little too harsh. Carson Steel, do you think he's on the chopping block, or would you like to see him stay? And what do you think of adding Fulton, and what do you think he can bring to this cornerback room? As I mentioned, daily videos here on Cheifs Latest Monday through Friday. I am your host, Calvin Silvers. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, have a good one.